Russian history spans over a millennium and is marked by significant events, transformative periods, and influential leaders. Here's an overview. Early history and Kievan Rus, 9th to 13th centuries. Formation of Kievan Rus. Around the 9th century, the Eastern Slavs were united under the rule of the Varangians, Vikings, led by Prince Rurik. The city of Kiev, became a major center. Christianization. In 988, Prince Vladimir the Great adopted Christianity from the Byzantine Empire, which profoundly influenced Russian culture, religion, and politics. Mongol rule and the rise of Moscow, 13th to 15th centuries. Mongol invasion. In 1237 to 1240, the Mongols, led by Bateh Khan, conquered Kievan Rus and established the Golden Horde, ruling over much of Russia for over 2 centuries. Rise of Moscow. Moscow grew in power as a vassal of the Mongols. By the late 15th century, Ivan the Great, declared independence from Mongol rule, uniting many Russian territories. Tsardom of Russia, 1547 to 1721. Ivan the Terrible. In 1547, Ivan IV was crowned the first Tsar of Russia. His reign saw territorial expansion but also brutal repression, including the Oprichnina. Time of Troubles, 1598 to 1613, a period of political chaos, famine, and foreign invasions after the death of Tsar Feofor I. The Romanov dynasty began in 1613 with Michael I. Russian Empire, 1721 to 1917. Peter the Great modernized and westernized Russia, expanded its territory, and moved the capital to St. Petersburg in 1703. Catherine the Great continued modernization and expanded the empire, incorporating territories like Crimea and parts of Poland. 19th century. Industrialization began, but the serfdom system persisted until 1861, when Tsar Alexander II emancipated the serfs. The century also saw the rise of revolutionary movements. Revolution and the Soviet era, 1917 to 1991. Russian Revolution. In 1917, the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, overthrew the provisional government. The Soviet Union was established in 1922. Stalin era. Joseph Stalin's leadership, 1924 to 1953, saw rapid industrialization, collectivization, and widespread purges. World War II. The Soviet Union played a key role in the Allied victory, but suffered massive casualties and devastation. Cold War. A geopolitical and ideological conflict with the United States and its allies dominated global politics from the late 1940s to 1991. Post-Soviet Russia, 1991-present. Fall of the Soviet Union. In 1991, the USSR dissolved and Russia became an independent state under Boris Yeltsin. Vladimir Putin era. Since 2000, Putin has dominated Russian politics, overseeing economic recovery and asserting Russia's influence on the global stage. His tenure has also seen controversies over authoritarianism and foreign policies. This is a high-level summary. Feel free to ask about specific events, figures, or periods. Detailed overview of Russian history. Early history and Kievan Rus, 9th to 13th centuries. Formation of Kievan Rus. c. 862, the Varangians, Vikings, led by Rurik, established control over Novgorod, marking the foundation of Kievan Rus. His successor, Oleg of Novgorod, expanded southward and made Kiev the capital. Golden Age of Kievan Rus, 10th to 11th centuries. Under Vladimir the Great, r. 980 to 1015, Kievan Rus adopted Orthodox Christianity in 988. This marked a cultural and spiritual alignment with the Byzantine Empire. Yaroslav the Wise, r. 1019 to 1054, codified laws, Russkaya Pravda, and promoted education and culture. Fragmentation and decline. After Yaroslav's death, Kievan Rus fragmented into rival principalities, weakening its unity and making it vulnerable to external invasions. Mongol rule and the rise of Moscow, 13th to 15th centuries. Mongol conquest, 1237 to 1240, led by Bateh Khan. The Mongols established the Golden Horde, ruling over Russia indirectly through tribute and vassal princes. Role of Moscow. Moscow's rulers, particularly Ivan Moneybag, gained favor with the Mongols by collecting taxes. Moscow became a political and religious center. Battle of Kulikovo, 1380. Dmitry Donskoy of Moscow defeated the Mongols in this symbolic victory, though Mongol dominance continued. End of Mongol rule, 1480. Ivan III, Ivan the Great, refused to pay tribute to the Mongols, effectively ending their rule. He centralized power and declared Moscow the Third Rome as the successor to the Byzantine Empire. Tsardom of Russia, 1547 to 1721. Ivan IV, Ivan the Terrible, proclaimed the first Tsar in 1547, expanded Russian territory into Siberia, introduced the Oprichnina, a period of terror and centralization marked by massacres and purges. Time of Troubles, 1598 to 1613. Following the death of the Rurikid Tsar Fifer I, Russia faced a dynastic crisis, famine, and foreign intervention. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth briefly occupied Moscow. The Romanov dynasty began in 1613 with the election of Michael Romanov as Tsar. Early Romanovs, they worked to stabilize Russia and expand its borders, particularly into Siberia and the Far East. Russian Empire, 1721 to 1917. Peter the Great, R. 1682 to 1725. Westernized Russian society, government, and military. Built a new capital, St. Petersburg, as a window to the West. Reorganized the government into a centralized bureaucracy. Catherine the Great, R. 1762 to 1796. Expanded the empire into the Black Sea region, Crimea, and Poland. Promoted the Enlightenment but suppressed uprisings like Pugachev's rebellion. 19th century. Napoleonic Wars. Russia defeated Napoleon's invasion in 1812. Serf emancipation. 1861. Alexander II freed the serfs, a landmark reform that led to economic and social changes. Revolutionary movements. The late 19th century saw growing unrest, including Marxist movements like the Bolsheviks and populist uprisings. Revolution and the Soviet era, 1917 to 1991. Russian Revolution, 1917. February Revolution. Overthrew Tsar Nicholas II, ending the Romanov dynasty. October Revolution. Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power and established a communist state. Civil War, 1917 to 1923. The Red Army, Bolsheviks, defeated the White Army, anti-communists, and various foreign interventions. Stalin era, 1924 to 1953. Rapid industrialization through five-year plans. Forced collectivization of agriculture, leading to famines, including the Holodomor in Ukraine. The Great Purge eliminated perceived political enemies. World War II, 1941 to 1945. The USSR suffered immense losses but played a critical role in defeating Nazi Germany. Post-war, the Soviet Union emerged as a superpower. Cold War, 1947 to 1991. An ideological and geopolitical rivalry with the United States. Space race. The USSR launched Sputnik in 1957 and Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, in 1961. Internal stagnation under leaders like Leonid Brezhnev. Post-Soviet Russia, 1991-present. Fall of the USSR, 1991. Economic crises, nationalist movements, and political reforms under Mikhail Gorbachev, e.g., Perestroika and Glasnost, led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. Boris Yeltsin era, 1991 to 1999, transitioned Russia to a market economy through controversial privatizations. Faced political instability and the First Chechen War. Vladimir Putin era, 2000-present, strengthened the central government and reasserted Russian influence. Economic growth during the early 2000s due to rising oil prices. Annexation of Crimea in 2014 and involvement in conflicts like Syria. Increased authoritarianism, with crackdowns on dissent and political opposition. Each of these periods is rich with events.